Mellow greetings, everybody. My name is James. I am from the internet. And yeah, we're talking election stuff. It's just a few days before the election. However, there's kind of a little extra special thing I want to focus on today. It would seem that as the poll numbers get worse, and it's not just the polls, it's also a lot of the lead indicators. The Trump campaign is actually curtailing spending, not increasing spending going into the last week. They are reducing the number of states that they're going to have people on the ground, on the phones, and collecting money in. So there's a lot of reason to think that Trump might not win, or at least on election day, because we know, the president's actually going to get chosen sometime in January by a court somewhere, more than likely the Supreme Court. I hear he might have a few friends over there. Oh. But the right wing is not taking the news and the lead indicators well. Now, I'm sure that you have, drunk uncle, semi-racist grandpa, somebody like that in your family, on Facebook or sending out emails. And if you go and you look at what they're posting, they're all getting a little bit desperate. People are starting to hear the water rushing in through the hole in the bottom of the boat. And, some people are reacting with pragmatism and logic, and then there's the right-wing wackadoodles. So I saw that Alex Jones, everybody's personal favorite, was on the Joe Rogan podcast over on Spotify recently. Ironic, since Spotify, one of the many platforms that Alex Jones got removed from 2 years ago. And it made me think, hey, I haven't seen AJ in a while. I mean, I enjoy a good Alex Jones meme. I have many a gif and a video clip of shit is crap and gay frogs and the whole 9 yards. I enjoy, a good chuckle at AJ's expense, but I wondered what's he actually been up to. And I typed Alex Jones into the old browser, and after 8 or 9 hits about the Joe Rogan appearance, this is the first thing that came up. You ready for this? Hold on to your hats, gang, because this is all about to come full circle. Militia leader Stewart Rhodes says his group will be at polling locations and is ready to kill Democrats. Looks like he was on Alex Jones when he said this. There you go. There's our buddy. There's Alex Jones looking trim and fit and filled with vigor. And by vigor, I mean cholesterol and a lot of carbohydrates. But there he is. That's the leader of the Oath Keepers. Now, a lot of what he said on this interview, which I'm going to read to you, you might find disturbing, very disturbing. I have been neck deep in 4chan and 8chan and white nationalists and Trump rallies and back the blue rallies and Tea Party patriots and all this shit for the last 6 years. So none of this stuns me. I understand that, there's low-key racism, and then there's people who hide behind low-key racism and have some whack-ass next-level hardcore shit going on. I don't think a lot of you fully realize that that's a thing. I'm about to show you that it is, and I want you to understand that with just days before the election, this is the mindset of a certain segment of the right. These are the people you are going to have to contend with after the election, okay? This isn't an anomaly. This isn't going to go away because somebody says there are more blue states than red states, after the first week in November, or somebody got some more electoral votes. I assure you that's not going to make this problem go away. So y'all better fucking tune in and get your head wrapped around this shit, because this is very much the reality a lot of you are going to be coming face to face with very soon. Oath Keepers militia leader Stewart Rhodes says members of his militia will be at polling locations on Election Day to, quote, protect Trump voters during an appearance on far-right conspiracy theorist Alex Jones's program. For those of you who don't know, the Oath Keepers are one of many militias in America, only theirs is a specialty militia, as their membership is only people who have been in law enforcement or the military and have already, quote, sworn an oath to protect and defend the Constitution. And once their service ends or their tour ends or they get thrown off the job or they retire and they go, but I still want to, maintain my oath to defend America. They go and join the Oath Keepers. So these are all people who have hundreds of hours of range time, who have all practiced in law enforcement in the military, who have friends in law enforcement in the military, who understand every single code call on a police radio, who understand military tactics. This is a whole different animal. After making that claim, Rhodes made a number of unhinged statements, including saying that Oath Keepers would follow directives from President Donald Trump to take members of the, quote, deep state into custody and, quote, do what we have to do. He also said that Trump should invoke the Insurrection Act before the election, that Oath Keepers will, quote, be in range of Washington, D.C. to stop a Benghazi-style attack on the White House on election night, and that a war will have to be fought against Democrats on the West Coast who are bought by the Chinese government. Rhodes also hyped the possibility of a second civil war, where his, quote, battle-hardened supporters kill the, quote, street soldiers and, quote, command and control of the radical left. He later claimed the United States is already in a civil war because, quote, you have sitting politicians who are part of the enemy ranks. This is the leader of a militia that has somewhere north of 40,000 armed members, all of whom have clocked hundreds of hours of range time and actually know how to use a firearm. Unlike your neighbor who, bought a 9mm 2 years ago because a black family moved in down the block and it's sitting in their dresser drawer and they've never taken the fucking thing out once, okay? These are legit people. They know which end of the gun to point. They know where the trigger is. They know how to make the pew-pew go pew-pew. Now keep in mind, this is a, quote, anti-government militia that is pro-constitution. I'm going to keep reading. I just want you to remember that and let that kind of trickle through your brain like a shitty water leak as you're listening to the rest of this story, okay? Disturbingly, Rhodes telegraphed how he will interpret election results, saying that he would consider a win by Democratic nominee Joe Biden illegitimate and evidence that the election had been stolen, presaging how he and his militia might react to that outcome. Rhodes' Oath Keeper militia is described by the Southern Poverty Law Center as, quote, one of the largest radical anti-government groups in the United States today. The Los Angeles Times reported Rhodes has indicated that some Oath Keepers, quote, have signed up as poll watchers, while others plan to monitor the election armed and undercover, drawing their weapons if needed. General question to the audience. Feel free to fill up the chat box or the messages or the comment section. In all the times that you have been to a poll to vote, whether it's at for your fucking high school class president or your local city council, or yes, the U.S. presidential elections that roll around every 4 years, how many times have you had to pull out a gun at a polling station? How many times were you like, shit, I wish I had a gun at this polling station because we're all about to die? Please enlighten me. I would love to know who the hell needs to be an armed poll watcher or to be an undercover poll watcher and draw your weapons if needed while people are lining up to vote. During his appearance on the Alex Jones Show, Rhodes said members of his militia are going to stand up and protect people on election day at the polls because opponents of Trump will supposedly be, quote, coercing and threatening his supporters as part of an effort by Democrats to steal the election. That's right. There are going to be people online at the polls going, psst, hey, buddy, voting for Biden. You should vote for Biden. If you don't, the deep state's going to come and get you. Anybody? That ever happened? I'm just checking because I've been to many voting and polling locations, both as a member of the press and as a member of the citizenry when I have been a registered voter. I've even gone into the little booth and clicked the little lever thingy. I've done that before. I have never experienced anything crazy at any of the polling locations I have been in any of the states I've lived. And that includes New York, Illinois, Georgia, Florida, Texas, California, Oregon. Still, never seen anything even close to or remotely resembling an incident in which I would need undercover or openly armed Oath Keepers protecting me at a polling location. But don't worry, everybody. Much like Whitney Houston, we've gone and saved the best for last. Here you go. Here's the wrap up. He went on to make a number of statements filled with violent rhetoric against, quote, the left. Discussing the coming civil war, Rhodes said Trump should declassify all the secrets to expose the deep state. And then his group will, quote, go and put it to them and take them into custody and do what we have to do. Declassify all the secrets so that we can go do what we have to do. I got nothing on this one. Rhodes said Trump should invoke the Insurrection Act before the election when, quote, he was the clear undisputed president of the United States in order to stay in power. You know, because Rhodes and the Oath Keepers believe in the Constitution and the sacrosanct rights of human beings and people in our country, you know, who have the right to freedom and the right to free expression and the right to vote. Yeah, but pish posh. I mean, sure, you know, they want to defend the Constitution, just their interpretation of the Constitution, in so much that the Constitution defends their right to do whatever the fuck they want as majority white, majority male, gun-owning former military members and police officers. That's the Constitution that they like. You know, the details of the Constitution and all the other shitty paperwork like the Declaration of Independence and all those things that, you know, really only pertain to white Christian men, and you'd think they would be excited about that? Well, it's all a problem. You just say you defend the Constitution and then do whatever the fuck you want. Yeah, very constitutional. I like it. Rhodes said his group is concerned about a Benghazi-style attack on election night against the White House, and that some of his, quote, best men will be posted outside of D.C. and within range. Virginia. He's saying he knows 6 guys with guns in Virginia. It's not a secret. He says he does not trust the military because a, quote, stand-down order could be issued that allows the attack to happen. Oh, so Rhodes and all his members who are former police officers and former members of the military don't actually trust the military. You know, all the other people who also put their hand up in the air and pledged to defend the Constitution. Right. This is a lot of crazy to unpack. I'm sorry. Rhodes said such an attack could result, quote, in the Antifa flag or communist flag flying over the White House. Don't threaten me with a good time. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Anybody think the Antifa flag is going to be flying over the White House? I assume that means that the next president will be George Soros. Is that the gist? Hey, speaking of George Soros, remind me to tell you all about that time that George Soros gave Donald Trump like $120 million as part of a construction project back in 2004. You know, deep state stuff. Assholes. Jones then raised the prospect of up to 20,000 Antifa supporters storming the White House on the night of the election and predicted that it would cause the Secret Service to run out of bullets. Rhodes said, that's what we're concerned about, claiming the people who would plan an attack on the White House have a lot of jihadists who are well-trained and experienced in warfare. I'm sorry, are we back to Schrodinger's leftist again? The beta cuck, limp-wristed, libtard, soy boy who weighs 90 pounds and lives in his mom's basement, who simultaneously is a well-trained, experienced jihadist? Really? Rhodes said that, quote, bought Democrats and leftists on the West Coast are participating in a proxy war being waged by China against the U.S., saying, quote, that's who we're fighting right now on the streets. Rhodes then said, you got to defeat them in warfare, and then you got to figure out. It's kind of like with the Founding Fathers dealing with the Loyalists. What do you do with these people? Yeah, do you let them remain and be Americans, or do you just put them on the wall and pop rounds in them? Yeah, I don't know. Tough decision, right? I don't know. What does the Constitution say? Oh yeah, the Constitution says you're a dick. After Jones asked him about military rules of engagement, Rhodes predicted a possible civil war between the right and the left, saying that, quote, our side will not just go fight in the street and fight their soldiers, we will go for their command and control. Also because, quote, that's a smart thing to do in warfare. That's what's going to happen. Yes, they're going to find the Antifa super soldier headquarters and find the Antifa high commander. Last time I checked, also George Soros? I don't know. Runner-up to that position, I guess, would be Bo of the Fifth Column. What up, Bo? Rhodes then said, we've had recent discussions with guys that are special warfare veterans and also currently serving. They're paying very much attention to what's going on, and quite a few of them are waking up. And so it's not going to be an easy fight for the radical left. They're going to get swamped with very competent, battle-hardened veterans on our side. You know, when they go to the polling station to go vote during their 1-hour lunch break before they have to go put on a mask and plastic gloves again to go make people fucking sandwiches at Subway for $7 an hour. Yes. Yes, the Antifa super soldiers. Rhodes declared that there's already a civil war in the U.S., quote, because you have sitting politicians who are part of the enemy's ranks, adding that we have 14 million veterans, I believe at least a massive pool of combat veterans who are awake and aware. Very aware. So aware. Tremendous awareness. Ahead of Election Day, there's mounting concern that firearms will be brought to voting locations and used to intimidate voters. Just 6 states and Washington, D.C. have total bans of firearms at voting locations. There are tens of thousands of Oath Keepers, and this is just one militia. And there are worse. Trust me, once you move towards Atomwaffen and the neo-Nazis and the full-on white nationalists, it gets worse. This one just happens to be a big group filled with people with hundreds of hours of range time. So you need to be aware, not only do you need to show up big on Election Day, if you want to make this fucking part of the nightmare end, you need to understand that the next 2 months are going to be filled with not only legal battles in courthouses and state houses, but these people are going to be out in the street. And they're either going to be extremely happy because Trump is leading after election night, and they are going to go impose their will upon people who they want to cow, who they want to make sure that those people understand that the Oath Keepers and people like them are firmly in control. Or if Trump loses, they're going to be out in the streets looking to vent their anger. Whew. This is where we are in America in 2020. No, we don't have bailout checks. We don't have mail-in ballots that are going to get counted after the election. But we do have a lot of angry white people who have sworn an oath to defend whatever the Constitution says they think it does. Stay frosty, everybody. Keep your eye on the prize. I'm out. Peace.